Welcome back everybody to the Ultimate Racing League with our BTCC Challenge Cup Championship. We discussed this in race 1, didn't we? As we don't know what we're going to call it. We're with the League 1 guys. Oh, it's been one of them mornings. I'm with the League 1 guys, and we are still over in Japan at the Autopolis short course. Some fantastic racing in race 1, which saw Neil Farmack take an easy win. Wadru managed to sneak in just past Brian Moncani to take P2, and Brian had to settle for the third step on the podium, but good results for those anyway. Now, grid 2, or race 2, the grid is it's completely random. I don't know how the guys sort it out. I use a number generator. I think I've mentioned that before. I don't know how the guy, the hosts who do League 1 set it up, but it's completely random, and well, it's fallen right into the lap of Brian Moncani. I bet he has got a massive grin on his face as he sits there on pole. So let's have a look and just see who's sitting behind him. Wadru, again, somebody with a big smile on his face, sitting in P2. Unforgiven in third. He'll be pleased with that result. Neil Farmack in fourth. Well, it's not beyond him to get himself up onto the podium, is it, from fourth? So we're going to keep an eye on him. Scooby in fifth. Bennett in sixth, going to keep an eye on him because his tyres were completely cooked with about a lap to go actually in race 1. So let's just see if he can look after him a little bit better this race. Stealth in seventh. In fact, it looks like Brownie in eighth and Corky in ninth. The last three, 7th, 8th and 9th, were the starting positions for Stealth, Brownie and Corky in race 1. So no real change for them. So I bet they're a bit ticked off, shall we say, that they couldn't improve that grid position even in the random grid. But I'm sure they will push on and get through it. So let's get this race underway. You can see the sun's come up now. We are in glorious sunshine in Japan. The crowd have started to filter in and the seats are filling up. You can see in the background. So let's get some lights on, shall we? Then we will get them out and we will get these races underway as Brian will lead us off and down towards turn 1. Everybody gets a good start. You can see Stealth trying to get through the middle of Scooby and Bennett, it looks like. Very quick off the marker is the focus. And yeah, Stealth up to 6. Oh, and who's that that's picked a penalty? But Corky has picked a penalty up already, and we've only just gone around turn 1. So up at the front, Brian Moncani started on pole. He's just leading everybody through these turns at 4 and 5 into turn 6, which is the hairpin. He's got Wadru chasing him down already. Wadru will want to try and get out in front very early, I'm sure, and dominate this race, but Brian's not going to make it very easy for him. Neil Farmack already up into third. Started in fourth, didn't he? But already up onto the podium, and Unforgiven chasing him down. So the two Mercs looking strong with Wadru in second and Unforgiven in fourth at the minute. Then we've got Bennett sitting in fifth in that little Toyota Corolla. I keep saying little, it's probably not that little. But Bennett in fifth. Going to have to look after his tyres, as I've already mentioned. They were properly cooked in race 1. I couldn't believe that. Then we've got Stealth. Then we've got a little bit of a gap back to Brownie in 7th. He's got Scooby just sitting behind him in 8th. For how long, I don't know. And Corky in 9th. Now, Corky having a look up the inside of Scooby as they go into turn 1. All side by side now, and a little nudge there. A bit of door bashing from Corky on Scooby. Nothing intentional. I think he just couldn't get that car turned around the corner a bit, and poor old Scooby ended up in the gravel. Back onto the track very quickly though, and racing again. He's going to get after those boys and try and get that position back. Corky now coming up to the rear end of Brownie, having a good sniff around the back there, isn't he? And looking at taking P7 away from Brownie. Oh, and he's gone, oh, what's happened there? He's gone off all of a sudden, just a big spin. I'm not quite sure what happened there. He just Brownie went very deep into the turn. Now as we go around this double left-hander into the hairpin, everything looking okay for Corky so far. around turn 6, just coming up towards turn 7. Oh, and he's on the grass, and that's what it was. As soon as you go on the grass, it's good night, and there we go. Corky back down to 9th, and what am I doing? And dirty tyres as well. So that's unlucky for Corky. So let's just go back up and see what's happening at the pointy end. Brian Moncani still out in front as we cross the line to start lap 3. Wadru just sitting behind. In fact, let's jump on board with Neil Farmack, shall we? As I thought Wadru had pulled over then and stopped. Neil Farmack trying to go around the outside. Wadru just defending that inside line. But Neil Farmack absolutely all over him, isn't he? And it looks like that the Mercedes just can't keep up with the coupe of the Hyundai Genesis coupe of Neil Farmack, and that looked like an easy move for him. But Wadru fighting back through the turns, into the hairpin they go. Neil Farmack cannot really get that move done. He managed to get in front of Wadru, but Wadru fought back and has retaken P2. But maybe Neil Farmack's just got a little bit too much pace on a straight. He just needs to get close up behind Wadru again, and if they can get out of turn 10 into turn 11, if he can get a good exit there, then maybe he can get the move done before they get to turn 1. You can see that Neil Farmack has gone purple. Not literally, just the sector. Across the line then, start lap 4, and well, you can see that Mercedes just been reeled in. This Genesis really got some pace in a straight line, hasn't it? And Neil Farmack has got to go around the outside again. Trying the cutback, trying to get on the brakes just a little bit earlier to get that cutback done, but Wadru very wise to that. Neil Farmack trying to get himself on the inside of Wadru as he has done as well, down into turn 3. Both giving each other a bit of room. Great respect between these drivers as Wadru still leads through turns 4 and 5 into turn 6, the hairpin. Then Neil Farmack still chasing. Bennett sitting in there in 4th. He's watching all this happening in front of him, hoping that they have a bit of a coming together so he can move up. Unforgiven in 5th. He's got his eyes fixed firmly on the rear end of Bennett, and Unforgiven would love to get himself up onto the podium. Managed to get there in race 2 last week. He got 3rd, I think it was, in race 2, so he knows what it's like to be on the podium, and fancies a bit more. Stealth in 6. It's just hanging on to the back of Unforgiven, and just looking up ahead you can see that well, Brian Moncani is just sticking to his racing line, isn't he? No need to defend just yet. It is Wadru that's having to do the defending against Neil Farmack. So let's just drop back down again. Scooby in 7. Bit of a gap between himself and Stealth. But he is playing catch up. Remember, he did get sort of eased onto the gravel, shall we say, early doors. Not having the best of races here in Japan is Scooby. That's twice out of 2 races now he's found himself kicking up dust. As we're just catching Corky there, making a move on Brownie. These two having their own little battle as Corky goes deep into the hairpin and onto the grass. Give it back onto the track very, very quickly though. Manages to hold on to P8. Just got to hold on to it as they go around 100R at turn 8. Brownie putting him under all sorts of pressure. Oh, Brownie trying to take a bit of a shortcut. Back onto the track though very quickly. He's going to have dirty tyres, so he's got to be careful as he goes into turn 10. Corky hugging that inside line. Yeah, Brownie picking up a penalty. I thought he might. He did take a few liberties with the track limits, didn't he? So Brownie's going to have to serve that penalty next time they come around, and it is I think it is just before they get to turn 10, I believe it is. I can't remember now. I think it is actually. So Corky holding on to 8th. If he can stay there, then he's going to get himself a little bit of breathing space when Brownie serves that penalty. Back up to the sharp end though. Brian Moncani still holding on to the lead from Wadru. Wadru just not giving him any kind of break at all, is he? The the pressure is just on constantly from Wadru. Bit of a slight gap then back to Neil Farmack. He's having to do a little bit of it defending against Bennett. That little Corolla we've said already, very quick through the turns, but tends to lose out in a straight line. And we've seen how quick that Genesis is. And we're just going to follow it now. In fact, we'll jump on board, shall we, with Bennett as we go across the line to start lap 7. And he's not really making any ground against Neil Farmack. Neil Farmack goes defensive, but no real need to. Bennett just cannot get close enough to him. But this is where he can make it up through the turns. He's got to keep an eye on those tyres though. Remember race 1 that they were absolutely cooked. Quick look behind him, we can see Unforgiven there in the distance. No real threat to Bennett at the minute. So Bennett can just take his time and concentrate on the rear end of Neil Farmack as we come around the hairpin then for the 7th time. We can just see we've got Wadru and Brian Moncani up ahead, so any one of these 4 guys can get up onto the podium. Slightest mistake and it's there for the taking. So let's leave Bennett alone, shall we, for a bit. Just as he comes into turn 10 and then 11. In fact, 11 and 12 are basically one turn, aren't they? I'm going to call it 11. We'll say 11 turns. They are practically one turn. So Unforgiven in 5th now. He's got a bit of a breathing space as well back to Stealth. Stealth is still there, having a good race. Is Stealth sitting in 6th. The only Focus. Now if you want to see the Focus run, you want to go and have a look at League 2. It is just full of Ford Focus, and that's covered by Thingamajig's Racing Channel. Fantastic watch, brilliant commentating from Ryan Thingamajig, and some great racing to be had from the guys in League 2 as well. And as I say, it is a Focus fest, shall we call it. Yeah, I'm surprised there's no more in League 1, but no, Stealth is in the only one. Scooby in the BMW. Now we are missing a few, and Grasshopper is one of them. He's also in the BMW, but missing from today, so some good points to be had for the rest of the guys on the grid. Corky and Brownie still fighting it out there in 8th and 9th. It looks like Corky's just got himself ahead of Brownie. Brownie may have just had a bit of an issue a minute ago, so Corky's able to get away from him. Brownie just dropping down into 9th and losing a bit of ground on Corky. Back up to the top. Oh, and it looks like, let's just go back. It looked like it was getting a little bit fruity then, wasn't it? As Brian, in fact, let's go down to Neil Farmack, shall we? As they all try and slipstream each other. Woodrow, I can't believe how quick that Genesis is in a straight line. It really reeled that Mercedes in. Neil Farmack gets to turn 1 well before Wadru. Wadru just nothing he could do about that, but Neil Farmack goes off. He just takes liberties with the track limits, kicks up a bit of dust, and Wadru says thank you very much and slots straight back into P2 where he likes to be, and concentrating on the back of Brian Moncani again. Neil Farmack, bit of a shame really. He got the move done before they even get to turn 1, and just couldn't make it stick. Just went a little bit too wide, kicked up some dirt, and yeah, Wadru said thank you very much. So it is these 3 again battling it out. They were all on the podium in race 1. Neil Farmack took the win with Wadru in 2nd, Brian 3rd. At the minute we've got Brian in the lead with Wadru and Neil Farmack in 3rd. So Wadru sitting in P2 where he did in race 1, but he is challenging. Now he goes defensive, Wadru, but I just really can't see the point, because that Genesis just flies by, doesn't it? And he's done it again, although Neil Farmack has got a lot closer to Brian Moncani again. Wadru, I thought he was going to have a look at the inside. He is. Neil Farmack just cannot get that car slowed down enough, can he? The Mercedes just seems to have the edge in the turns. Neil Farmack's got the speed in a straight line, but when it comes to the turny bits, the Mercedes seems to be able to fight back well. And when you get a master like Wadru behind the wheel, then it's a deadly combination, as Neil Farmack is finding out. Fantastic racing with these guys. Brian Moncani happy to let them battle it out. He's well, he's not really pulling away from them. So maybe Wadru's still got his eye on winning this race. Got a bit of defending to do from Neil Farmack, but he's also got his eye on the prize just up ahead as we into the last 3 minutes. Through the final couple of turns, then onto the straight, 902 metres of it, all the way down to turn 1. Brian Moncani across the line then to start lap 11, followed by Wadru, followed by Neil Farmack. Neil Farmack again got the edge when it comes to straight line speed, but Wadru this time manages to hold on to the position into turn 1. So Neil Farmack still pushing though, and they again side by side as Neil Farmack goes into turn 3 just ahead, but Wadru around the outside. Fantastic racing from these guys. We could watch them all day, couldn't we? Let's just have a quick look down the grid as we're coming up to the last couple of minutes. Bennett sitting in 4th. Those tyres really starting to hurt again on that little Corolla of his. The rear tyres don't look touched, but the front tyres are properly cooked. Maybe needs to have a look at the brake balance, get that sorted out. Unforgiven in 5th, having a steady race. Unforgiven, no real dramas from him this time out. Stealth in 6th, again just got his head down and got on with his racing. Scooby in 7th, with Corky in 8th and Brownie down in 9th. These guys very spread out. Unfortunately, Corky and Brownie a long way off the rest of the pack. So back up to the top then, where it is all happening, is Brian Moncani out in front. Led from the start. He was on pole position, but not really had the race all his own way. He has been under a lot of pressure from Wadru, and in fairness to Brian Moncani, he's just soaked it up like the sponge he is. Although Wadru now having a look around the outside as we go around the hairpin into turn 7 and 8, and Wadru now makes his move. Wadru just gets his nose in front as they go through turn 8. Brian Moncani desperately trying to keep up with him, has to slot in behind and take B2, and now he's gone from leading for the whole of the race. He's down into 2nd and coming under attack from Neil Farmack as well. So it is the two coupes against the Mercedes. Wadru taking a really defensive line, sticking to the right hand side, and let's just see if Brian Moncani can catch up with that Mercedes as Wadru moves back onto the racing line and gets into turn 1 first. Brian Moncani still holding on to 2nd, although now Neil Farmack has made his move as they come down through turn 2 up towards turn 3, and Neil Farmack has managed to get the job done as we come into the end of this race. Let's just see who's going to be finishing first, and I do believe it is going to be Brownie that's finishing first in 8th position. So Corky must have had a bit of an issue, so Brownie crosses the line in 8th, Corky in 9th, back up to the top though. Wadru, fantastic racing from these 3 guys. It is the same 3 guys who finished on the podium in race 1, but now the order's just a little bit mixed up as Wadru comes up towards the final couple of turns. Brian Moncani with the current fastest lap of 1:13.2. Is Wadru going to take that away from him as well as we race down towards the finish line? And he does. Wadru finishes in first, Neil Farmack second, Brian Moncani third. Wadru takes the fastest lap of 1:13.0. Then we've got Bennett in fourth, Unforgiven fifth, Stealth is going to cross the line in sixth, with Scooby coming home in seventh. Wow, fantastic racing from the League One guys at Ultimate Racing League once again. Join me for the final race here in Japan very, very shortly.